Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us. Do us a favor and smash that subscribe button just right down there. It takes less than a second and it really helps the channel grow. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us, Ray Benny Sports. We're on Twitter, I guess X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Check us out on Reddit and Discord as well, and leave us a rating on your favorite podcast provider.
Who used to do this after a touchdown?
Can't remember.
Des Bryant.
There you go.
We got
That's
Winnipeg
it.
Blue Bomber talk. We got Jets talk, a little bit of NHL, NFL talk. But let's start off with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. By the way, NHL Jets talk brought to you by Fahrenheit Airbrushing, our first and ever sponsor. Winnipeg Blue Bombers, straight up, will they clinch the West on Saturday? You go first.
Yes, I do believe they will. I mean, they could potentially clinch it on Friday night as well, because BC plays Calgary then, right?
Oh, yeah, Calgary, yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So, but I do think either way, no matter what, they're clinching it on Saturday. They've always been pretty good coming off a bye week. They know what's at stake here. And to give some guys maybe even a little bit of a break next week, or kind of take it easy in the last week of the CFL season, because they're going to have a bye anyway. So they get a break, right? But
yeah,
I fully expect them to beat the Elks on the weekend at home and clinch it.
And it's got to be a different vibe. Like, if I'm not saying that Edmonton doesn't have anything to play for, but they're not playing for any positioning or any, they're not playing for the chip. So you have guys playing maybe for their jobs. Yeah. I don't know if they're going to be a little more individual, or if that'll, galvanize them. What a horrible word that is. Bring them together as the team. So I think the Bombers have an advantage. They still have a goal that they want to achieve. They want to get that home field advantage. They want to get that bye. They want to be at home in the cold, hopefully, knock on wood. So yeah, I think the Bombers have the edge vibe-wise, and it's at home, last home game. So I'll take the Bombers to win in that one.
You have it. Same with the Elks. You say that about some players will be gung-ho. Other players are already thinking vacation, right? And moving on. So, yeah, it's a tough game for them to play. But, yeah, the Bombers should come out focused in this one.
Like at Chris Jones, do you start auditioning people at this point? Are you taking people off the practice roster, seeing what they can do? Are you playing full squad? Are you playing Trey Ford for the whole game? If he gets hit hard once, do you take him out because he's a QB of the future? Or maybe not. I don't know with Chris Jones. So lots of question marks with Edmonton. So I think Bombers will take this one and will win first. And like you said, Calgary has a lot to play for too, but so does BC.
They do.
Keep that alive.
And I think Vernon Adams is back practicing at least. So there's that scare is kind of out of the way right now. So yeah, Calgary has a lot to play for, but I still think BC probably ends up winning that game too.
It's the last thing they need is an injury to Vernon Adams.
Yeah. And it's like, do you take that chance that to possibly get first, knowing that the Bombers still have 2 games later, and risking Vernon Adams in a game when you know you're in the playoffs already at this point, right? It's a pretty big risk to take, because Vernon Adams and Dane Evans are 2 different guys.
Yeah, but home field is so huge, especially against the Bombers, with them being an indoor team. I think you would want to be at home as best as you can. So you got to stay alive, I think, and take them out if they have a huge lead.
And if Calgary loses, and Saskatchewan's got a bye this week, so they'll still have a chance against Calgary in the last week going against the Bombers, no matter what.
Yeah.
I don't know who plays first that week, but.
Do you have any concerns going into the home stretch with the Bombers? Is there anything is there a red flag that you have there? You're like, uh-oh.
Besides just hopefully staying healthy and focused through this all, the only one concern for me is Zach Laros and just the type of mistakes he's kind of made this year. But other than that, just like to see him have a couple clean games going into the playoffs, and kind of get those off his shoulders kind of thing. But other than that, I don't have any red flags going on.
Yeah, those turnovers can be a bit worrisome, especially in situations where you can just throw the ball away. Not only are you keeping the play live and you're exposing yourself to injury, but you're exposing for a turnover.
Yeah.
Janarian Grant got a touchdown last week, but I really hope that he is back to that pre-injury form, or he gets there. And I get it, first game back, the cuts are different, and I'm sure it's still psychologically a factor when you're putting weight on it in game action. So I hope he gets back to that form, because he's a huge part of this team. To be able to flip the field or even get points off of him on special teams is huge. So it's not a red flag, it's a hope.
Yeah. Well, for sure, they need him at his best, especially in the cold weather here. I mean, even in Hamilton, it'll end up being cold there. So yeah, it'll be good to have him. He's got what, 2 games at least here, right? And going into the West Final to kind of get in better shape. So hopefully that all
Yeah.
works out.
Do you think he's like underrated on the Bombers roster?
Um, you know what? The way the Bombers' return game was when he was gone, I think it showed more appreciation for the guy than probably what we had thought before that. Like, we always knew he was a good player and all that kind of stuff, but what he did for the Bombers when he was playing and then when he was gone, it was, yeah, pretty big.
Especially this season, especially
Yeah.
after that Saskatchewan game. It was like, what? When he went all the way across the field and
Yeah.
then went down the line, it was like, wow, yes, we have the best return in the league. And wow, yeah, it hurt to lose him.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any underrated players in the Bombers, or who would you categorize as an underrated player on the Bombers?
Yeah, like I was thinking about this question, and I was saying that I don't think there's really an underrated player on this team. I think they mostly get their accolades and all that kind of stuff. But for me, if we're gonna pick one, I'd probably go with Evan Holm, who's really come out of nowhere kind of this year to play the way he has and to be as strong as he has back there.
Yeah.
Because the Bombers have been pretty good back there for the last few years, right? So he was stepping into some big shoes to play that position, and he did a wonderful job doing it. 11 pass knockdowns with 2 interceptions, right? So and a sack. So
he's definitely getting the buzz within Bomber Nation and Winnipeg media, but I don't know if the CFL is aware.
Yeah,
And he's
not
a
enough.
great DB.
No.
I picked Nick Hallett. He's been really picking up the game on the special teams. The Bombers have had injuries on special teams. Mike Miller's been out, the leading tackler, and he's 19 tackles on special teams, third in the league on that. Bombers have always had great special team tacklers. You even look back at Wade Miller, Brendan Rodgers, if anyone remembers that back in the day in this stadium over here.
Yeah.
I think he wore number 35. But yeah, Nick Hallett, just a Canadian kid getting down there with the hustle. I think the rest of the unit got to get better because I think yards against Bombers, kickoff, and punt are blast in the league. But he is playing phenomenal on special teams. So shout out to him.
That special teams have seemed to got better since Teodric Hansen came back as well. They seem a little bit, I haven't noticed any big returns coming out from the other teams in the last couple of weeks that he's been playing. Yeah. So maybe that was a big miss earlier this season as well.
Especially against Toronto, against what's
Leak.
Javon, right? Javon Leak. Ooh, he's good.
He's going to cause some damage in that Grey Cup if they make it.
Who we don't talk about, although he's a good player and he's always heralded as a good player, Brandon Alexander's not getting a lot of love this year.
Yeah.
And the Bombers are good at preventing those deep plays, especially the 30-plus yard passing plays. And he's part of a factor in that.
You can throw Dietrich Nichols in there too.
For sure.
Because the guy, you compare his stats and his tackles to some of these other guys, and they're a lot lower because he's not getting thrown out at all either. So yeah, BA and Dietrich Nichols have kind of, not stat wise there, but quietly have had a really good season back there too.
Yeah.
The DBs as a whole, I mean, yes, they've had their issues, playing a lot of soft coverage and stuff like that. But for the most part, they've done pretty well. And some of these guys that we've mentioned have been really good so far for them.
If you had to take a DB for the CFL, would the Bomber make it for the CFL All-Star voting? I think it's going on online right now. Would you take a Bomber? Who would be your DB?
Yeah, I'd take a DB. Would be my only Bomber on this one right now, but Demery Houston would get it. Hot start to the season. Still leads the league in interceptions with 7, 4 passes defended as well. So he's doing his job back there for the Bombers. And yes, there's been plays where he's gotten beat, but for the most part, he's been pretty steady. So I'd pick Demery Houston there. I'm
going to say this straight out. I'm going to lead with this. Sorry, Bomber Nation. I did not pick any Bombers in regards to CFL All-Star. At DB, man, and it's not like I've been a fan of this guy for a long time, and it probably wasn't until the Bombers played him in Hamilton. I've been following him hardcore, this Stavros Katsantoni. This guy, he gets in the backfield as a safety. He has 55 tackles. He's all over the field. He kind of reminds me of, remember Taylor Loeffler that we had? And then he went to Montreal. Yeah. That kind of guy. He just gets in there, gets his nose dirty. He could probably play linebacker in a few years, but I really like that DB and a Canadian DB from Hamilton.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, very good player.
D-line, I think I'll go Canadian again. I'll go Matthew Betts. Hell of a year, 17 sacks, just creates havoc, 4 fumbles. He's crazy. He's a
Yeah.
beast on the line.
And
Jeez.
3 tackles for a loss. Throw that in there too. I picked him as well as my D line guy as well. He got 17 sacks. You're running away with that, you know.
Yeah.
So it's hard to top the guy who gets a lot of sacks.
Do you remember Brent Johnson
Yeah.
He played opposite of Cam Wake.
Yeah.
And he was a really good, he was a
Yeah.
really good Canadian defenseman. He reminds me of him.
Yeah.
Who'd be your linebacker?
This one was tough. There was so many guys there to pick from, and looking at stats and stuff like that. I'm going with Toronto's Winton McManus. Sorry.
You son of a gun.
Did I take yours too?
Yeah.
2 defensive touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 4 sacks. Tackles are a little bit lower, but that's usually the case when you're on a better team anyways, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been pretty good there at linebacker for the Argos.
I think it's a couple pick sixes this year as well.
Yeah.
He's just a great all-around athlete. He reminds me of, remember Lamar McGriggs?
Yeah.
Reminds me of him. I remember one time when we interviewed Jerome Bolden, we're like, yo, who's the dudes that you bring in a back alley fight? I think Lamar McGriggs was one.
Yeah.
And it was Katie Williams the other one?
It could have been. Yeah, well, those are 2 good ones if they weren't.
Or was it Tommy Ure? I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, it was definitely Lamar for sure.
Jeez, that says a lot. Yo, check that interview out with JB Jerome Bolden. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And also put your CFL All-Star votes in. We're done with that, right? Yeah,
yes.
McManus.
Yeah,
we both pick McManus.
He's just doing defense for now. We'll do the rest another time.
Yeah, next week maybe.
Yeah.
Tune in. Bobby Dyce, Shawn Burke on for another year. Yeah, you already know what my sentiment of this is. I'm a huge fan of Dyce, yes, but Burke, I'm not a huge fan of. The guy doesn't know what to do a roster. I really don't believe. The team went 4-12, and he signed 22. He re-signed 22 as free agents. Give me a break. Yeah, I can't even talk. My mind is boggled because this guy. So I don't know. Good luck, Ottawa.
I hope they're back, and the only reason I really want him back as well, Burke, is because then I think that gets Bobby Dyce back. I think if they bring in another guy, then that's probably the end of Bobby Dyce, and I'd like to see Bobby Dyce get another shot at this. Unfortunately, it's going to be with Burke again, but hopefully they can fix it. You know, I'd rather see that happen than Bobby Dyce get fired.
Sounds like it's a go. Sounds like it's a go.
Hope so. We'll see. It's the CFL though, man. And Ottawa's, what was this, 4 years in a row now without the playoffs?
Ottawa fans, put your comments in the section. No, yeah. Yes, comment section below. I don't know why that's one of the hardest things to say for me. I say it about 100 times already. I can never get it right once. Let's move on to some Winnipeg Jets talk brought to you by Fahrenheit Airbrushing. Stand out on the ice, pavement, or the field with a custom airbrushed helmet or goalie mask. A local Manitoba business with affordable solutions for any project. Check out Fahrenheit Airbrushing on Facebook or call them at 204-891-7431. Tell them Ray and Benny sent you. Look at that. Not one mistake. And I can't say the other thing properly. Give me a break. Let's talk about the Jets week that was. We kind of touched on the Calgary game. That was a hard matchup. Jets played well. Couldn't quite get out of it. We talked about Schmidt. Any thoughts also going to Florida about the Jets last week, first couple games?
Yeah, I mean, they looked a lot better. Well, I mean, they looked good against Calgary. They just couldn't beat Markstrom enough there. We talked about that. Florida, another good game. The offense is purring so far, considering we thought the Jets would win a lot more games at lower scoring. This was a 6-4 win. They had a 5-2 lead, kind of got lax in that third period and let Florida come back into it. So good game all around. Mark Scheifele has looked really good so far in the season. I don't know if he's come out with something to prove this year and to show everyone he is still a very good player or not, but 2 goals and an assist so far in the 2 games, over 62% in the faceoff dot as well, fighting Matthew Tkachuk as well in that Florida game. So great start for him. It's good to see.
Yeah, you gotta love Scheifele's fight. You gotta love Lowry's effort. That crazy assist, obviously. You gotta love when he sticks up for his teammates every single time. You gotta love Kyle Connor's skill. So far, so good. That's I was at work, so I only got to catch the second period of that last game, which was the best period. But even the game as a whole, against the Panthers. Shifley started with that crazy first goal from Kyle Connor, and then they responded when the Panthers scored. Shifley won the faceoff. It went to Morrissey. He went across to Velarde. Velarde put it into the zone for Shifley, and Shifley went around the net and put it into the slot for Kyle Connor for the goal.
Beauty.
Like, it looked like that line's been playing together for at least a whole season already.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of what makes you excited about this Jets team, and also the depth of it. Like that, also that the Barron goal.
Yeah.
Like the effort from Kupari to steal the puck on the neutral side from the Jet side to bring it into the zone, around, play some footsie sticks games around the net, and then set up Barron for the goal. That was crazy.
Yeah, it's and then the short on a goal, but like you said, from Lowry to Appleton, is they're getting the scoring from all around. I mean, they've scored a lot of goals in these 2 games. They've given up a lot as well. So,
Yeah.
But the one thing against Florida is they took 7 penalties. They can't do that. You know, at least their power play got going 2 for 6 in that game against Florida as well. But like you say, top to down, or you got 4 lines that look like they can produce as well. And it's good to see Kupari get his first point as well. And I like watching Velarde on that line. It's just like you say, it seems like he's been there already for a long freaking time. And he fits in so well, and the chemistry already for those guys is crazy.
Thank goodness Ehlers came back. My goodness. We would have been all freaking out. We were all freaking out.
Now he's just got to get going, right? It's 2 games, no points kind of thing. So
I know.
Expecting a lot of that guy. And right now I'm hoping he gets it going. At least Perfetti ended up getting a point as well this weekend. So
it like happens at least once or twice a year. We're like, where's Ehlers? Then you're like, okay, whatever, he's done, and then he just turns it on.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's like one of these soccer players. Let's move on then. I'm gonna flip-flop some things. Let's go to some concerns maybe after the first Jets 2 games, since we just talked about the Jets games. Are there any concerns on your end? And we'll talk about another concern after this. But in regards to the action of the first 2 games, anything concern you? Anything you're like, dang, they got to fix this right away?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's 2 games in, right? So it's easy to overreact or whatever to anything. But right now it'd be Connor Hellebuck, who's been under 900 save percentage in both of these games. Better this last game. He did face a 33 or 34 shots or whatever it was, but still he's allowing a lot of goals, which is not normal for him. So right now he's my concern. Again, the defense is what it is, and it's going to be up and down throughout the season. But I'd like to see Helly get back on track.
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah,
I think we all believe he's a top 3 goalie for sure in most Winnipeggers' hearts. And it's very early, of course. The power play is 2 for 10. 20% is a league average. So you know what? Last year they're 19% and a bit. The year before they're 21%. So I'm not worrying about it. But just in regards to when they were really good in like 2017, 2018, those 2 years, 2019 going in, they were 23.4 and 24.8 respectively. And I think they really got to, especially now with the style that they're playing, or we thought they'd play more defensively, they really got to cash in on those power plays.
Yeah.
Especially with the dynamic scores that they have, especially in that first line. So it's not worrisome, but it's starting to be like, man, this again, hopefully they can bank in a few more.
Yeah, and especially when you're saying that, yes, we have a lot of faith in that first unit, right? But if that first unit can't get it done, that second unit's got to come in and at least chip in some goals here and there as well, right? So it's very top heavy, that power play unit, on power play 1. So still got some good players on power play 2, but you got a lot of experience with Perfetti. Ehlers had success on the power play, but yeah, you definitely like to see that unit get going as well.
And I really like the way Kupari moved that puck around the net when he set up that goal for Barron. I'm just still smiling about it. It was awesome. But yeah, and especially in regards to being a playoff team and their power play, I think most guaranteed playoff teams were about 22% and over. The only one who wasn't that last year was Ottawa. Surprisingly looking pretty good this year.
Yeah, good start for them.
If I can just add one more red flag. 2 of the goals that were scored by Florida were because the Jets were outnumbered and outsized in front of the net. And that was a concern going into the year because we have a fairly small defensive core. So I'm just going to flag that now. I'm a little worried. Those are, especially, we're going to talk about the week coming up and the teams they play. When they play bigger teams, that might be a concern, getting players out of Hellebuck's face, because that's a way to get to this dude.
Yeah. Yeah, and Florida's a big team, right? They got some big guys there, so for sure. And this week ahead is definitely that as well.
Oh, Kings, Oilers. So let's talk about the week ahead. Any more red flags on your end?
Nope, that's the only concern right now.
So let's move on to the week ahead. How do you think they'll be challenged with the games coming up? They have LA, they have Vegas, and they have the Oilers. Yep, all fairly big teams, definitely top 5 big teams, weight and height in the league. What are the challenges you see coming up in these games here?
Yeah, not only big teams, but teams that can also score as well, right? So they got some very good players. All these teams can score. Like I just said, they've got a lot of talent. Vegas is good, right from line 1 to line 4 kind of thing. They got guys rotating in and out, and it's just nonstop. LA's got some good players, and of course the return of PLD tomorrow night in that game. So that'll be interesting as well. But they've scored 5 goals the other game. They've already got 7 in 2 games as well. And then the Oilers, of course, we know what they can do. So I'm hoping the Jets can maybe hit this as a 2-1 out of these 3 games. The one thing with LA is they got poor goaltending, right? Cam Talbot, Phoenix Copley.
Talbot?
Yeah. I mean, 2 out of these 3 teams have poor goaltending. The Oilers as well with Skinner and Campbell right now. And then Vegas is solid. Freaking Aiden Hill and Logan Thompson. I think they got 1 goal against each so far in about 3 games played total. So they look solid. But again, if the Jets are going to give up goals, they got a lot of options to score goals on the other side because there's not a lot of resistance in net right now.
Yeah, let's not skip over this PLD coming back to Winnipeg thing. This is an issue. Almost everyone's writing about it. And you know what? People are writing about PLD and the vibe and he'll be booed. But how about the 3 guys on the Jets who are probably going to be inspired to show LA, hey, you know what? 1 for 1, I could have been trade value for this PLD guy.
Yeah.
Because, hey, they're looking good so far.
Yeah, I mean, who knows how this season's going to end out, but right now I'm looking at Velarde and I'm like, Velarde his effort would have been enough for PLD, right?
And the second rounder.
Yeah,
for sure.
And those other guys are kind of gravy at this point, right? I mean, PLD could go crazy and get 100 points, but for the type of guy that he was and the type of player that, he was good at some games and then some games he was totally non-existent. I like the deal so far, and, it gives him a fresh start in his start that he needs or something like that. That makes him feel better out in LA, probably less recognized than he was in Columbus and Winnipeg. So, hopefully it works out for him. But for tomorrow night, hopefully it does not.
Yeah, they definitely can't sleep on LA. I know they're 0-2, but look who they played.
Yeah.
They played Colorado and Carolina.
Yeah.
Man, it's like the CFL schedule makers made that one up. Why are you going to start with that? Why are you going to start with that? That's brutal. So yeah, I'm excited to see the return of PLD. And let's not move on from Winnipeg Jets trades. We'll continue talking about the week, but quick thoughts on Blake Wheeler getting benched, time getting cut down. Do you think it's a case of us seeing the beginning of, maybe we saw it in Winnipeg, of a little less gas in the tank? Or is it just Wheeler needs to get acclimated where he is? Because he's a third liner and he's playing 12 minutes and he was benched.
Probably a little bit of both, but we really did see him start to lose his speed over the last couple seasons, especially last year, right? And that was a big part of his game, was that speed, getting into that zone, setting guys up from there. So obviously you get older, that's going to fade fast. And when that's your bread and butter, it's going to be very noticeable, right? And it says, and even in the article, that he was slow and all that other kind of stuff. So yeah, age is catching up to him. It was always catching up to him. So, hopefully the season works out for him as well. I mean, I don't know what the Rangers ended up signing him for, because it wasn't for defensive play, because he showed in Winnipeg that he wasn't that, right? Depends what they really want to get out of him and what they're expecting. But to bench him this early, kind of weird, because again, it's only a couple games.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see, and I think this trend will continue with New York and the skill that they have. He's a third liner right now, and if a young guy brings more whatever jump to the line, then they'll put a young guy in. But I'm cheering for him. I want to see him do well. I don't want to see him drift off. It's kind of like Andrew Ladd like that, didn't we? Like we saw him kind of drift off. It's like, and man.
Well, right after Ladd signed that Islander contract, there was that debate, Ladd or Bufflin, right? And Ladd rejected the deal here, apparently. And then he went to the Islanders and everyone was like, oh, thank goodness, right?
Imagine.
Yeah. I hope this
Buff,
season goes well for Wheeler, ends on a high note, and then he can walk away. I would hate to see him, in and out of the lineup all season, and that's what he retires on, kind of thing.
we talked about like the power play of 27, 18, and 19, but we also talked about the size of the teams. Like on their defense, they had Buff,
Troops.
Trouba, Myers, Sherratt,
Yeah.
Pullman.
Yeah.
Those are
With
big
Morrissey.
dudes. Well, he's not
And,
big,
no,
but
Enstrom.
he's good.
Was Pullman there, or was Enstrom
Enstrom's
still around?
Enstrom was, I think he's like Pullman's like a seventh defenseman or whatever.
Okay.
Enstrom was playing a lot with Buff or Myers, wasn't he?
Yeah, and then he got benched in the last game there.
But that's a lot of size on that defense, man, compared to what we have now. Sorry, any which way. I lament. Let's talk about the Vegas Knights. They started 2-0, both 4-1 wins against two decent teams, Seattle and Anaheim. And size and height again. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah, and like I said, the goaltenders are already playing well. They've already scored 4 goals in each of those games. So yeah, they're not going to be easy, and obviously they're Stanley Cup champs. I'm assuming this is a game that Brossois ends up getting out of these 3 as well, right? So they're 3-0 already because they beat the Sharks as well
Today.
No, a couple days ago.
Oh dang!
They they played 3. Yeah.
You don't think Brossois will get the? Or you think he'll get the game against them rather than the game against Edmonton?
Yeah, I think Hellebuck would probably be in for that one. I Saturday night, Hellebuck going up against McDavid and Draisaitl. That's always a good battle. So I think Brossois gets a game against his old team. So
well, Edmonton's also his old team. He's his first team, wasn't it?
That's true, but he's been there, done that already. I guess
he won the cup. Maybe he might get his ring, but that might be too much. He'll get his ring and maybe just sit down and watch. Who knows? That'll be interesting.
You know what? They're paying him good money. They have to get him into at least 20 games here this season or more to give Hellebuck those breaks, because people are on Hellebuck's case, man, in his playoff performances, right? So
yeah, I might put Hellebuck in the home games and then play Brossois. Who knows? That's why I'm not coaching.
Well, we'll see. He's definitely getting one of these games. He has to, right? And we're not playing Hellebuck all week, right?
Who's this Casey DeSmith that's going on, the goaltending there? Like, he went 42 out of 45. That's a goal. Like,
where is he right now, Casey DeSmith?
He played against whatchamacallit.
Didn't he just get
traded for Vancouver? He played for Vancouver.
Right, that's right.
Against Edmonton.
Yeah.
Because Vancouver just beat Edmonton in 2 games. Yeah. And he went 42 out of 45 against them. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. So who knows? Maybe the Jets out of those 3 have the best opportunity against Edmonton because they're not looking very strong.
Edmonton's going to be chomping at the bit this week to make up for those 2 losses, right?
Well, for sure they're hungry.
I know Saturday's still a ways away, but
you can be hungry as you want, but if you don't got that goaltending, you're effed.
Nope. There's going to be a lot of teams possibly kicking themselves for not making that Hellebuck deal this summer when they could. Like New Jersey's another one. They're already giving up a bunch of goals in their first few games.
For sure. What's up with that? The goals are up.
Oh, the goals are, yeah, that's the thing. Goals are up. I mean, Vancouver scored 8 against, Edmonton, 4 each, I think, on both goalies or whatever it was. So
yeah, 12 in 2 games.
Yeah. Boser had 4 games. Matthews has 6 goals in 2 games. I don't know if he scored tonight or not, but yeah. He already got projections, 246 goals on the season for him.
Okay, that's gonna happen.
I saw somewhere today, I can't remember where I saw it, but is there an opportunity for Matthews to get 100 this year?
Do you want me to address that, or
yeah, what do you think?
I think that's ridiculous. Yeah. I don't think it's gonna happen at all.
No.
I'll put all my money. Not all of it. I gotta pay rent for a bit, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So in these 3 games, like, who's gonna have a solid 3 games? Do you think on the Jets roster?
I think this is talking about him. I think Connor Hellebuck's going to bounce back and look solid in the games he ends up playing this week. They really needed to. Or again, fans are already clamoring this guy's making $8 million a year and not looking like it at all. So I expect a big week from him.
Yeah, I agree with you. I also took Connor Hellebuck, and this will be the challenge because, again, big teams going to be in his face, and I think that's the way he likes it.
Yeah, and they can score. So,
Jets fans, put your comments in the comment section below. I finished my double beer, so let's move on to some NFL. Most
Whoa,
surprising
whoa,
NFL
whoa,
game.
whoa. 1 second though. I got a question for you.
Uh-oh.
That home opener,
Oh,
2,000
yeah.
short of a
Oh,
sellout,
yeah.
basically.
Oh, yeah, I
Uh,
forgot about that.
cause for concern?
Oh, I don't want to lose my mind, but there is smoke. There is smoke. So there's got to be a little bit of a fire. Yeah, I get it. People are a little hesitant for live events still, but Bombers are selling out, and I get it. That's outdoor, but still. Um, they neglected their fans for a bit, and they're just waiting for a good product, maybe.
Yeah, it's been a lot of turmoil with this Jets team over the last few summers, going back to even their playoff run and then the expectations next year and not hitting it. So every summer feels like something lately. So maybe fans are kind of getting tired of it, but to not be able to sell out your home opener, like I understand maybe if, Tuesday, like even Tuesday's game against PLD, I expect that one also to be sold out or close to it as well. But you got to sell out your home opener when you're starting that low already. That's big cause for concern for me. So
The
I
rest of the
know,
Canadian markets sold out their home openers,
yeah,
didn't they?
yeah, pretty much them all. I guess that's the thing. It's
Oh,
your home opener, man. You should be selling
man.
that out. So hopefully things do get better.
That's not a good sign for long-term brand loyalty.
No, like you
You know
say
what I
though, they
mean?
neglected fans for a long time. Expected fans to keep coming, just raising prices, raising food prices, having these rules of not being able to leave the arena and stuff like that. It's just like they took all this stuff for granted, and now they kind of got to rebuild themselves again, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, and I haven't been in this arena with all their, renos and all that, but I kind of really don't give a damn about that.
no,
That's not really been a part of the experience for me. And it's definitely not drinking 10, $13 beers.
yeah.
I just want to watch some good hockey and I'm fine. So
I miss the
I
crowds being into it as much as they were early when they got back, right? Like
yeah.
that. Just now we're just kind of sitting there watching, waiting for stuff to happen. When the barn, and this is not against the Jets, obviously, but maybe it's the quality of play that they've had over the last few seasons. But when the barn's rocking, it's such a good time in there, right? Watching
Yeah.
these games and you're getting into it. So
Yeah, and we
yeah,
can't have a team that's dependent on corporate sponsorship for season tickets
yeah.
because that kills the vibe of it. You don't have people consistently going who are passionate about the game. You have these people giving away tickets to whatever customers or whatever clients, and it just kills it. So we don't want to be a Leafs kind of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, you want like I said, when I went to that CEBL game with the Winnipeg Sea Bears, like the crowd was just they got the crowd into it. It was like a nightclub almost kind of in there, the atmosphere of it all. So Jets got
Mm,
to find maybe a little bit of that and that they can bring into their own product maybe and take these ideas from other teams maybe, get it back going in there.
same as Valor. Y'all got to do
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
It's about the environment.
Yeah.
Can we talk about NFL now?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, not very excited, are we? Most surprising NFL game?
Do I have to say it?
You don't have to. There's a couple.
There was definitely a few. I got to throw my 49ers in there because that was a gong show. I'll throw that one. I probably got the same as you. You want to say one before I say the rest of them?
Jets Eagles was crazy,
Yeah,
and that's without Sauce Gardner.
yeah,
I don't know who that reflects on more, um, Philadelphia or the Jets. Probably Philadelphia. They can turn it around. I think
yeah.
it's just one of those whatever. So yeah, that was a tough one.
Well, it's just like the Niners. They've been playing so well. You beat Dallas like that last Sunday. You're thinking nothing but good things, right?
Yeah,
Obviously, Cleveland's got a wicked defense, and you're in Cleveland, so that's going to throw a couple wrenches into it. But the Bombers, the 49er offense did not look good. They did not get into rhythm. They got injuries, so that threw them off, and they just couldn't get it done. But Hurts to me and the Eagles as well have not looked, as good as they were last year, and
no,
they've gone by in their wins, right? And now this one caught up to them, and Hurts did not look good, especially throwing an interception like he did late in that game as well to give the Jets,
three,
the lead basically. So
three
eh,
picks.
yeah, three, and the last one was devastating, really, because he led to the Jets leading touchdown.
I would have to say between those two games, Jets and 49ers or Eagles 49ers, the 49ers one concerns me because if Debo and McCaffrey continue to get hurt and both of them have injury histories, Purdy was exposed that game. So I'd
Yeah,
be concerned about that.
he had some misses. Like that game could have been a bigger lead for the Niners before
Yes.
even CMC got hurt, but he missed CMC. There was one to Ayuk. It was a tough catch. Ayuk probably should have got it, but there was big plays that the Niners did not hit on when they were wide open too. That could have changed the complexity of that game, especially an interception too early by Warner that brought the ball in field goal range, and it led to a missed 50-something yard field goal. They got pushed back instead of going forward. So, and then not to mention the last kick of the game. Damn kickers. How about the Bills and the Giants too? That was a lot closer last night than it probably should have been.
What a boring ass game that was.
The Bills,
trash.
How they beat Miami and looked so good, in that week that they beat Miami, they've looked like trash since they've done that.
Because Daniel Jones sucks.
Daniel Jones didn't end up playing. It was Tyrod Taylor.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
Giants played better.
Yeah.
Because they don't have that liability back there. Sorry, maybe I'm wrong about Daniel Jones, but I don't believe. I think they got suckered into that contract. They're desperate.
Well, it goes to show you, though, right? Daniel Jones without Barkley was terrible. Barkley played last night, and the Giants were in this game, and Barkley looked good. So who should be the one getting $40 million a year? You got a quarterback doing it when the running back's the best player on the team.
Preaching to the choir, bro. Biggest statement game, I'm going to go with the Texans beating the Saints. I think because of the division that they're in, that they can be at least a wild card contender. Yeah. And, they have the consistency of DeMeco Ryans at head coach in his first year. Their defense is playing good because he was a great defensive coach in the 49ers. That. Yep. And their offense with CJ Stroud, steady.
Yeah, through his first
making mistakes.
That's it.
So that's a statement game for me. I think they'd be a decent Saints team.
They could end up winning that division even at 8-8, 8-9, or whatever, 9-8. Really,
Jags are pretty good though.
Yeah, they're hit and miss.
Travis Etienne, man, dang.
Yeah, but now Lawrence is hurt, so he may be missing this week. But they're so up. They're so up and down. The Jags, man, they look good one week, and you're like, okay, they're turning around, and the next week they'll play, and I'm like, so.
You know what they need in Jacksonville?
Yeah,
Bill Belichick.
You think there's no way he's getting fired mid-season, right? He lost the season at least, right?
No, next year.
Yeah.
Next year. He got his Tom Brady in place. Go to Jacksonville, bro. Retire in Florida.
And he could take over the Dolphins. I'm just kidding.
Oh, no, they got a good coach. They got a good coach.
Yeah, they do. They hit the big one. Hey, a lot of ex-Niner coaches, Saleh, DeMeco, and Mike McDaniels is looking good so far out there. I'm going to go with Detroit. Yes, they've won some big games already this year, but they went into Tampa, a place where they haven't won very many games, if any. And Goff against a D that looked pretty good in Tampa Bay. Goff went for over 350 yards, couple touchdowns, nice clean play. And then on the D side, which has been probably Detroit's Achilles heel for most of the time, because even with Stafford, they had some good offenses, but their Ds were always terrible. But that D shut down the Tampa Bay offense. Yes, probably not the best quarterback in Baker Mayfield, but they got two good wide receivers, and that D shut them down and held them to only 6 points at home. So Detroit, to me, may have stepped up and to be the NFC team right now.
Man, Tampa Bay is lucky they're in the NFC South.
Oh, yeah, all those teams are.
That division sucks.
Holy that's another one that someone will win with either 8 and 9.
A lot of divisions will be like that this year. Man.
Yeah.
Who knows? Hey, maybe the Bengals made a statement with their defense this week. Shoot.
Shut down Geno.
That's
right back in the thick of things at 3-3.
In the AFC North. Like another 9-8 division, maybe. What a joke this year will be.
Yeah. I was gonna say those teams seem a little bit better than the NFC South, but who knows, right? The Ravens are
No, like Cleveland's defense is pretty good, but their offense is terrible. Oh my gosh. And the Steelers, they have no offense.
All good D's there. All good D's there, basically. I mean, Cincinnati's got the offense, should have the best offense there, right?
Yeah.
But their defense had to do the trick against Seattle yesterday.
Wow. Benny, you have anything to say to our friends?
You know what? Thanks a lot for listening. Thanks to Fahrenheit Airbrushing. Go Bombers, go Jets, go, and have a good week.
And in the famous words of Lou Holtz, if what you did yesterday seems big, you haven't done anything today. Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook,
TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.